Yeah. Yeah, but podcasting is a lot of fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
just sitting down and meeting new guests, like I don't know. It's definitely like a learning curve because like when you're interviewing people, you have to like kind of vibe off of them. And some
Yeah.
people don't necessarily like they want to do a podcast, but
Mm-hmm.
then they don't want to like say too much on a podcast.
Oh, well, I'm an open book. Look, I'm so serious. We can talk about whatever. I'm here, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're obviously a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about it. What do you want to know?
Well, where did it start?
Ooh,
When
it
did you-
started in the womb. My mother's womb. No, for
Oh,
real.
really?
Yeah. So my mom tells me stories all the time how she would have like the big like 90s headphones like on her stomach.
gosh.
She would play classical music all the time.
Like headphones like this?
Yeah, exactly. And I remember just growing up with a piano in the house, and I would sit there after my homework, and sometimes even before. I had to like strategize as a young kid. I'm like, I want to do music, and I just wrote my own songs, like composed my own songs on the piano.
Whoa.
Yep. And then I played violin.
You taught yourself?
I play by ear. But here's the thing, David. This is the funny
Whoa.
thing. My mom actually tried to give me piano lessons so I can like learn all the, you know, the science behind it, I guess, like how to read music.
Yeah.
It's hilarious looking back at it now because my mom would pay for the lessons and I would show up and I would have the teacher there and she'd be like, okay, like, what's this note? What's this note? And I was like, I don't know, but do you want to hear a song that I wrote? And she'd be like, sure. So the whole time it was just me showing her like the songs that I learned by ear or something I wrote instead of reading the music. So
That is crazy. That is madness. Did she get angry with you? Is she
which person, the instructor or my mom?
Well, I guess both because your mom's paying for it.
She didn't really know what was going on. She was just like, how are piano lessons? I'm like, good.
Taught the
like-
instructor something.
Yeah, but when they would put a book in front of me, I would just freeze. I'm like, it was just too much for me. But I could read, like when I played violin for 2 years, I could read that. And I still play alto saxophone. I could read that. But other than that,
That's crazy. That is really crazy.
yeah, I play 5 instruments now. So
What instruments? Piano.
Do you want to
violin?
guess?
I'm gonna guess piano, violin, guitar.
Yes.
Are any of them brass instruments?
Ooh, no.
No. Woodwinds?
Yeah, I just told you one of them though.
You did. and I don't remember which one.
Good.
Saxophone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's one more.
Oh boy. Drums.
Wait, did you say that one already?
I did not.
Oh, and then there's one more then.
Oh boy. So drums?
Drums, and then it's a simple one. Like one you'll see anywhere.
Harmonica.
Oh my gosh. I was not expecting that. No, I'm not Stevie Wonder. Bass. I play bass now. I just picked that up though recently. So I'm
That's so
lot.
crazy. Wow. That is so wild.
Thank
I
you.
played trumpet in
Ooh,
middle
I was
school.
gonna ask like if you
Yeah.
ever played any instruments.
I played trumpet in school, and I actually got really good. I was like, I would come home from school and I would practice. I think it was my adopted mom would force me to practice. Like it was almost one of those things like I didn't want to do, but she would force me because she didn't like me.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. But it built like diligence. Like you have to work at whatever it is you want to do.
Right.
And you have to work hard and you have to
Yes.
practice and get better. And that's
Discipline.
Discipline is
Yeah.
important, and that's how you get better. And so I got really good because I started focusing on it more, and I ended up becoming first chair in band, and then I got invited to go to an honors band, which I guess like only they pick like certain people from
Yeah,
certain
I was
schools.
an honors band too.
Were you?
Yeah.
And I didn't get to go because my adopted mom hated me. So.
Oh. Dang,
Yeah.
man. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. But what did you learn from that, I guess? Besides, I know you mentioned like some of the characteristics and the qualities that you've brought and carried over. But like
From
anything
learning
else?
an instrument?
Yeah, just like discipline that we were talking about. But is there anything else that
I would say discipline. I mean, it
Okay.
teaches you to work hard.
Yeah.
And being first chair, like it gives you like a responsibility, like because you know all the other people are keeping tabs to what you're doing, and they all want to be in your spot.
Yep.
And if you slip up and you don't practice, then you're gone.
You're
You're
replaced.
now your second chair.
Yeah.
And I think that happened to me. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that happened
to
where
me too.
where like I got like me and this other guy were like pretty close, and like it would bounce back and forth. He would be first chair, I'd be second chair, first chair, second chair, and it'd go back and forth.
I feel that happened to me too, but the thing is, I couldn't read music like that for real, like that well. So I would just like listen. I would listen to how they would play it, and then I would internalize it, and I would like do it myself. And then I was first chair. I think they thought that I knew how to read really well, read music. But hey, I did marching band too. Did you do marching band?
I did not.
Okay.
No.
Lame.
I know. I wanted to. I actually marched.
All the cool kids do marching band.
Yeah, that's
Everybody
true.
knows that.
Yeah. I always wanted to. In middle school, we actually marched with the high schoolers. So that was
excuse me.
That was kind of
That's
cool.
Fancy.
Yeah.
It's like some next level stuff.
It was like once or twice.
Okay.
Something like that.
That's still fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I kind of want to pick it up again.
Yeah.
Just one of those things I don't have time for.
Why not? Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's loud. Like playing trumpet, like it's not
Who are you
ideal.
telling? I live in an apartment, and I'm trying to figure out like, when's the best hours to play my saxophone? Like, no, there aren't any.
10 o'clock at night. That's the best time.
Yes. Midnight. My neighbors are chill though, so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So how do you find time? Like, do you make time specifically each day to play one instrument, or do you just randomly throughout the day just pick it up and start playing? Like, do you have some sort of discipline about it?
So this is a great question because I started off with like practicing bass and guitar each for an hour.
Whoa.
And then I was like, you know what? That's kind of unrealistic for all the things that I do in a day. So as of right now, I've been like creatively blocked.
This episode is brought to you by Red Bike Delivery. This delivery service operates only using battery-powered, eco-friendly transportation. Red Bike Delivery is there for all your delivery needs, whether it's dinner for the family, flowers for your partner, or new houseplants for your new collection. Red Bike Delivery will gladly deliver those and everything in between. So what are you waiting for? Check out Red Bike Delivery on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Red Bike Delivery, because there's only one Earth.
When it comes to playing my music, I've been writing though a lot more. So there's somebody who reached out to me from Berlin who like was like, hey, I would love for your voice to be on my tracks, like please, so I think ever since that moment I've been focusing more on my writing and less on my instruments. But to answer your question, for real, I definitely was disciplined before that moment and just finding making time for it because I knew that that's what I wanted to do, and I still do. I'm just kind of in a weird place, to be honest, and I'm trying to see myself still in a good light, even though I'm not like pushing myself to be disciplined,
right?
To do the things that I actually want to do. So
are you able to find like a good balance between it all, between writing and playing your instrument, or do you find yourself like, I don't have enough time and this is difficult to like keep up with?
So before I was producing like beats from scratch, I was practicing my instruments, and on top of that I was audio engineering. Oh, and writing. So I was like wearing all of the hats, and I was like, I don't have time to do anything else. Like,
where are you doing this
I need to eat in my studio. So I have a home studio in my apartment. So I just do everything there. But as of recently, I've been like doing more jobs to make money. So like I DoorDash, and I'm sure other artists do. But I'm trying to do that so I can actually promote the music that I put out. To reach a larger audience. So yeah.
So when did you decide that music is the path you want to go down?
I always wanted to do music secretly, but I actually come from a very wealthy family. Well, my parents are wealthy, and so I always had this pressure to.
I love that you said that, because
Why?
some people be like, yeah, I'm rich. Like, no, you're not rich. Your family's
No,
rich.
I knew at a very young age that that's my parents' money, and those are their cars and their houses, and I knew that I had to make my own, and I was taught that, my parents aren't giving me handouts or anything. Which I love because they made me work for a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? So
that's important because one thing I've noticed, like, I mean, specifically with my situation, like I've had to work hard for everything that I have, like extremely hard, and it makes you appreciate everything you have when you are finally able to achieve what you wanted to achieve. Like even just simply as starting like this podcast, like I had to go out and buy all the equipment and
learn how to use it.
And learn how to use it. Like I didn't have somebody to teach me. I don't have friends that like, yeah, I'll come and be your sound person or whatever. But when you learn how to do it and you work hard and you're able to finally get to that spot, you can appreciate it a lot more. And that's one thing, like for me with my kids, I'm like, man, I don't know. Like I feel like they have life so easy because I worked so hard to make their life easy. Now it's like, how do I give them struggle so that they can appreciate the things in life?
I think the world might give them this struggle, and they have to go based on the principles that you and your wife and your family probably have taught them and ingrained in them. Because I was very sheltered. I grew up in a very sheltered home, and like the world gave me the danger and gave me, the rough side of reality. Because I lived in like, not Twinkleland, what is it called? Disneyland. Like, oh, I'm in a castle and everything is so great. But then it's like, oh, that's when ish hits the fan. Like when I'm out on my own now and I'm learning. And
so what was that moment like?
It was a rude awakening. But I also knew that I wanted that. So
how old are you? If you don't
take
mind
a guess. I will not be offended. I promise you.
I'm gonna say, well, you're friends with Sema, so she's
shout out to Sema. I love you.
I'm gonna say you're around her age, right?
Okay, that's still very general.
It is pretty general. I'd say 23.
25.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
People always think I'm 16 or 18, and that's fine because when I get old, look, I'm gonna be looking good. Nobody gonna be talking about me then. So
I used to get that all the time, especially because I work in a factory. So when I hired in, I didn't have any facial hair. I was like I had no hair, and I looked like a baby. In fact, if I shave, I look like a baby. Yes. So, yeah. And, I remember like people all the time like, oh, you're so young. You're so young. You look so young. You don't even look like you're 18. And I just kept thinking like, yeah, well, when I'm your age, I will look way younger.
Yep, exactly.
And,
so it's a gift.
But I feel like age is starting to catch up. I have like gray spots in my facial hair.
I don't see them.
Good. Don't look. Okay. Don't look.
Right. I'm not looking anymore.
Yeah.
You still look young.
Thank you. I was complaining about it to my wife the other day, and she's like, it's okay. Like,
yeah, she's right. It is okay.
I just feel like my youth is gone.
Okay, how old are you? Do you tell your age on here?
Yeah.
Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead. And I am going to be offended. I'm just kidding.
Well, you look really young, but I'm gonna say what I think your age is, not based on what you look.
Okay.
You're 35.
Whoa. Wow. I don't know if I should be offended or like.
Oh my gosh.
Feel distinguished.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you're 33.
No.
You're 29.
You're close.
Oh my gosh.
28.
Okay, cool. No, because you look like you're in your 20s, but when you're talking about, I have some gray in my beard, blah, 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 I'm like, he does not look like he's 30-something, but I'm going to just guess
funny.
It. Yeah,
That's
you do.
Funny.
I feel like you look your age.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm backtracking it, but it's
you look
okay.
26,
I appreciate it.
27, but no, it's cool.
I looked good during the pandemic, like being at work with having to wear a mask. Yeah, I looked like I was 18 from the nose down.
Oh my gosh! Have you ever been carded before?
I get carded all the time.
Okay, me too. I actually don't drink.
You don't drink at all?
No, I don't like drinking. I've tried it. I've had wine. I've had sake. I've had rum before, but it's just.
You had whiskey?
Yeah, I actually tried Jack Daniels before.
You should try something better.
I don't know. I remember in college, it was the first time that I went to a bar For real. And I got a little, well, I really don't know, like, what is the point where someone can say they're drunk? I get the tipsy part, but what would you say, like, the threshold is?
When you're drunk, I would say when you don't have, like, ultimate control of what you're doing.
Okay, one time I was kind of dizzy.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to say that necessarily because you can be drunk and have control of yourself. But I would say to the point where, like, I don't know. That's a fine line, right? Being tipsy and drunk. Tipsy for me, like when I'm tipsy, I associate it with just like feeling good. Like I'm
like a buzz.
Like a buzz. Like
okay.
I'm feeling good.
I've been tipsy.
Just a bit tipsy.
And I've been drunk probably 3 times in my life. One was senior spring break, high school. We were in Jamaica on a cruise with my friends. Oh my goodness. And then that's when I realized, because I got drunk in college twice, I would say. I don't know. Don't take my word for it. But either way, I know that I get really, really, really silly. I'm already a silly person, but I like laugh and I run really fast. Outside, specifically.
When you're drunk?
Yeah.
Or when you drink, rather?
Drunk. When I'm drunk, I run. Like, I just want to dash.
Why?
I'm free. Like, I'm free anyway, but, like, it's even more fun. Just, like, I don't know. I was a college athlete, so I think, like, it kind of reminds me of the high that I would get when I would play sports.
What sports did you play?
I played in college or just in general?
In general.
In general, I played basketball, soccer, lacrosse, volleyball. There's one more. Oh, cheerleading. If people count cheerleading.
It's a sport.
Okay,
you gotta be physically
it is.
active.
Yeah. I did a round off back handspring back tuck, and like I tore like a muscle, and ever since then it's like I recognize cheerleading as a sport because that was hardcore.
Yeah. It's kind of funny to think about cheerleading like when I was in school because it was like something that like you didn't really see them working out. Like they did their like forms or whatever it is that they call them, but they did that stuff, but they didn't like lift weights or anything. And you think like
they
if
lift
you're
people.
Yeah, but you think if you're throwing people in the air, you have to lift weights. You'd want to get strong.
But their weights are the people. I know what you're saying though. Like, shouldn't they be like in the gym lifting?
Yeah, shouldn't they?
So they can pick people up and throw them in the air.
But I think they do now. I think cheerleaders lift now. So it's
the modern cheerleader.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play any sports?
I didn't. No.
Wow. You look like. Sorry, I was about to stereotype. You look like a football guy.
Wow. I look like a jock.
Yes, you do. If I'm gonna be honest, but that's okay.
That's probably because I work out now.
Okay, like that's probably where it is.
Back when I was in high school, I was scrawny, like really skinny.
I've always been like that.
I mean, that's a gift.
Yeah,
that's a gift because then you don't have to worry about weight. Like putting on weight.
My metabolism's really fast.
That's really good. I mean, you have a lot.
It's expensive. People are always like, "Oh, you're so lucky." I'm like, "Do you know how much I have to eat a day just to be okay?" Like, it's fast.
Now, do you stick to any type of diet, or do you just eat whatever you want?
Whew, so, I grew up eating whatever, and then in college, I was like following a form of Judaism. Yeah, and I didn't eat pork or bottom feeders, so like shrimp, crab, lobster.
Yeah.
I just had like a very strict diet, and then I was vegan for 2.5 years. And then after that, I was like, wait, I'm not a healthy vegan. A lot of people think that just because someone's vegan, they say they're vegan, that they're healthy. But that was not the case for myself because I was missing a lot of nutrients. You can get protein from plants, you know, because a lot of the biggest animals that we have on planet Earth, like they eat plants. So it's possible. You just have to have like a balanced diet. And I didn't have that.
Right. I
was eating like processed vegan food and I just did not feel healthy. So now I just consider myself to be plant-based where, because veganism, like you can't, you know, use honey or like have any leather or anything. Anything at all, like animal products at all around you. And veganism's kind of like a religion to me now. So I kind of just stay.
It's kind of culty, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because people get mad, like legit will not talk to someone if they like have a different eating habit. But
That's interesting.
yeah, I'm plant-based. The base of my diet is plants.
Okay.
And I'm much better now. So
do you eat any animal products now?
I really do my best to not. No, I eat honey and stuff. If something is made like gluten-free bread, if it has like eggs in it, like I'll do that.
Do you eat eggs?
I think it depends on my moon cycle. So like my women's cycle.
Right.
Sometimes I crave like salmon or eggs, but I haven't eaten those for a little while. So. But yeah.
That's interesting. I love hearing people's like diets and their opinions on them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I eat mostly meat. But I recently just started eating like a little bit more carbs and vegetables. But for a while I was on a carnivore diet and I actually felt like better on it. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting because like I would eat for lunch, I would eat nothing but steak and eggs. And then for dinner, I would eat whatever whatever meat was being cooked for dinner. Like if we were having tacos, I would just eat taco meat. And I felt like really aggressive on it because I was working out really hard too. But it was interesting. Yeah. So now I'm trying to like go back and not be so crazy.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of insane about things. Like when I started doing it, I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
No, that's me.
And so now I'm trying to find like a balance.
Yep. It's always that. And even with the meat, I did a little bit of research on just like, when we eat animal products or, animals, we are also like consuming a lot of the trauma and stuff that were in their muscles, or even as human beings we have trapped emotions that get stored in our body. And so if you think about like, say if you're eating eggs that aren't free range,
right,
even cage free, even if they're cage free, they could still be in a cage, but it won't be that small. Right. But you think about the cortisol levels, like the stress hormones within the animals, and then people, we consume those too.
Well, I mean, just look at the reason why they pump them full of all these steroids and all the hormones. Like, there's a reason for it. It's because they're not able to roam around and get fat naturally, right?
Wow.
Right? Like if you're buying eggs from or buying chickens from a farm, like they're just throwing them on top of each other.
That's stressful.
And they're inside of a building. They're not
quarantined.
Outside. They're quarantined.
Literally stressing the frick out. Nah, yeah. I'm just thinking of that image, like, yo.
Ugh, craziness. Craziness.
Yeah, but I eat a lot though now. So.
You seem like a really interesting person.
Yeah, people say that.
Yeah.
What do you want to know? I'm here.
I want to know everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were actually talking about, what were we talking about? We kind of went on
music, production, something else, right?
Yeah, something else. I don't remember what it was. But what college did you go to?
I went to Hope College.
Okay, so that's a religious college.
It is. It's like a white Christian conservative liberal arts school.
So did you? You don't sound salty about that at all.
Well, most of my trauma took place there.
Okay.
I don't care about talking about it. Like, I'm good now, but. Okay. Yeah, so the saltiness probably came from that. Okay,
that's understandable. I grew up in a extremely fundamental Baptist church, so I understand a lot of that stuff. And I've actually had people on that have shared their stories as well.
Oh, wow.
With like religious abuse. And stuff.
That's what I talk about. Like,
yeah?
Yeah. If you want to.
Yeah. Well, first, I want to ask you about your growing up. You said you grew up in a very reserved home.
Yes.
Did you grow up in a religious home?
Yes. Both of my parents have been ministering for 37 years.
They've been ministering?
Yes.
So they're pastors?
They have churches all around the world.
Really?
Yes.
What denomination?
In quotation marks, non-denominational, which is still a denomination, because there are many people who are categorizing themselves as non-denominational, but at the same time, that's still a denomination. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. But I've seen a lot of non-denominational churches do like similar things. But yeah, that's pretty much like their niche though. So yeah.
So by forming all these churches as a non-denominational, it makes them
a denomination in my head, because you're still, so in 2015 I looked up how many no, was that 2017? I think it was, it was 2017. I looked up how many denominations there are in Christianity alone. There were 33,000 at the time. So, you know, that number has changed more or less now. Yeah, look it up.
We're going to Google it.
Yes.
So you grew up like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was that like?
It was very strict, and my parents, I'm grateful though, because my parents taught me honor and respect for people, and I'm really grateful for that. But at the same time, like, being very sheltered, I was just naive to a lot of things. Like, you know, again, like, didn't have a sip of alcohol until senior year, spring break, you know, like, yeah, that, and didn't do cannabis until college, but that was to heal an autoimmune disease that I had.
Did it work?
Yeah. 3 months. My hair grew back. My hair was falling out.
So did you have alopecia?
Yep, alopecia areata.
Yeah.
You know.
I had that.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that. They wanted to, like, put the cortisol steroid shots, like the injections in my head.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, and then this is the funny part though, David. They said, yeah, but, you know, these shots might not grow your hair back. So I was like, okay. I go on the internet, natural ways to, you know, heal alopecia areata and, you know,
now,
cannabis.
Do you think it was because of stress?
It was. My cortisol levels were out of the roof, and it's connected to the religious trauma, actually.
Yeah.
I just remembered that.
That's one thing, like, for me, I started developing bald spots in the back of my head that were, like, you know, quarter size. And I was in high school. I was 17 years old, and I was dealing with religious trauma and trauma at the house too. Like I had mentioned, I was adopted. So like, you know, like, stuff that was going on at the house was, I guess that's a different story. But, you know, my situation was so stressful. I started developing these spots in the back of my head. And 3 months after I moved out, I was stress free and it started growing back.
Yeah.
It was amazing because my doctor, I went to the doctor and she's like, it's not going to grow back.
That's what they told me.
And it grew back. I'm like, this is insane.
And you know what, David? I think a lot about that and how our emotions really do affect our physical well-being, you know? I really like looking up psychoneuroimmunology in my free time. So basically, like, what?
In your free time.
I'm a nerd. Shout out nerds. We rule the world. You already know. So, like, the psyche, whatever you are thinking and feeling, then, you know, the psycho, the mind, it translates into the body, the soma, which is Latin for body. And then you have, I was talking about psychoneuroimmunology. So your nervous system is triggered by the stress response, and then it affects your immune system. So I studied all that because of the alopecia areata in 2017.
Why wouldn't it?
Right?
Right? Like, I mean, your body is literally trying to protect you from the trauma that you're going through. I had somebody on the podcast, I think last year, so like towards the beginning of the podcast, and she was a cancer survivor, and she believed that there were certain types of trauma that would develop in certain spots of your body based on the kind of trauma that you were going through.
Yes. I have a book on that. Not that I wrote, but I am writing a book though.
Oh my gosh.
There is a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And she really goes in on just saying, like, okay, if someone were to have, I'll use myself as an example. I actually had psoriasis earlier this year. And apparently the emotional trauma tied to that is like suppressing oneself and not wanting to feel. Like, so it's like deadening the skin, deadening the cells, it said. And then there's an affirmation on the other side of that page for that, you know, for psoriasis. And it says, I would have to say, you know, I am open to receiving the joy of life. And I am something, I forgot the last part, but I actually healed myself in a week.
Whoa.
In a week. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to have this anymore. I want to just enjoy life and have healthy hair again. So every night I would put my hand in on my scalp, and it's kind of like, you know, because prayer is just, it's vibration, it's positive affirmations, like words. Our cells respond to energy in words. So I was just like, I speak life to my scalp, I speak life to my cells, and I command you to be whole and healed. That's it. Like, I did that once every night for a week. I think it was honestly a week and a half. And ever since then, I promise you, I've not had it. And I'm so, like, just mind blown, you know? Like, I already knew because my parents brought me up to, like, pray over things. But for me to not even say, like, in Jesus' name, like, be healed, it was kind of a paradigm shift for me. Because I'm like, wait, I can still, like, heal and be set free even outside of, you know, the structure of religion that I was brought up in. And so it just really got my gears going and to go deeper into research with that. So
that's one thing that's interesting. Growing up in like a religious home or in a church is that they oftentimes shy away from like some of the natural modalities to heal yourself. It's like, there is some science to this.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to talk about this.
No.
They don't want to acknowledge it.
No, because, well, I'll speak for myself. I was brought up to believe that there was only one way. There was only one way to experience God. There was only one way to be healed. There's only one way to be free. And then when I started to, like, follow different doctrines, because I read the Bible a lot. Like,
I imagine you did.
Bro, like, I learned
you probably did deep dive.
Paleo Hebrew to understand the Old Testament, and then the Torah and the Old Testament, the prophets, the books of the prophets, and then I learned a little bit of Kanye Greek, just like reading it, not like, I still had problems with like trying to speak it, but the Kanye Greek was for the New Testament because they're two different books. But I researched a lot of that, and now I'm here.
What version of the Bible would you read?
I grew up reading King James Version, but in college I started reading the NIV and the NLT. Okay. So, and there's a Jubilee Bible, by the way.
Really?
That I didn't write. Yeah. They owe me money using my name.
That's hilarious. So, what kind of experience did you have in college?
Every single year was different. Freshman year, I was like, what's up? Hey, everybody, I'm Jubilee. You know, I was like the kid that everybody knew. And I was very involved with a lot of things. You know, I did some acting and I did sports. And then I got injured. I dropped like a weight on my toe. One night when I was coming back from studying because I was procrastinating on my homework, but I still got good grades. I don't suggest that, but yeah. So I like came back like 3 a.m. or something, and I was putting my backpack down, and I like hit a weight, like I had weights in my room, and it fell off like the heater, and it rolled on my toe and fractured it. I laughed. I have a high pain tolerance. I know that sounds crazy, but I was like, I don't think I can walk on this foot. So I was injured a lot, like more than half the year for my freshman year, but that started my spiritual reawakening. And then things went downhill. So on the sophomore year, I had the opportunity to like speak in front of 3,000 people for a competition. It's called Nykerk Cup competition, and I was chosen out of the class of 2019 to speak. And so I wrote a 15-minute speech that was a spoken word poem. It all rhymes. Yeah, I don't know how I did that.
Was it supposed to be on that?
They gave us a topic,
okay,
and then they told us to write a speech. But I wrote
a poem.
Yeah, because that's just how I connect, you know, with
how did they
words.
like that?
Oh, they loved it. We won.
Oh.
We won the
wow.
competition, and but sophomore year was pretty cool. But I did experience a lot of isolation and rejection because during that time I started to question the Bible. I was like, wait a second. For instance, this is one of the questions I had. If I think it is in Matthew, but I don't know if it's in the second chapter, Matthew 2:14. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. But in Matthew, it says that like Joseph and Mary hid baby Jesus in Egypt, Africa. So I was like, oh, maybe Jesus was a melanated person. So I started like really thinking about that and studying the tribes of Israel. And I was in the Hebrew Israelite doctrine for a long time. And people were just not happy with me. If you have somebody at a white Christian college saying in class that, bringing stuff up about like Jesus and not even just what he looks like, but his actual message. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, not the fluffy stuff like, all you got to do is just believe and you're saved. No, I'm talking about like,
actual
like
theology.
The things. Yeah. And it made people uncomfortable. And so I just felt really lonely that year.
Well, isn't it kind of a naive thing to assume that Jesus was white?
Yeah.
I mean, because even if it was not Africa, let's
right.
say it's not Africa,
Right.
it's still from the Middle East.
Yes.
They're not white.
No. That's what I'm saying. And the thing is, David, it was interesting because even when I thought Jesus was white, I still worshiped him the same. But when I like would tell my friends, like, what do you think about this? And not even trying to argue, just like, look at this. They would get so offended. They'd be like, no, like, I'm for real. Like, I fell out with a lot of people just because of my questioning with that. And it's like, okay, so what if he was a melanated person? Why would that change your heart?
Right.
Towards,
why does it matter?
do you know what I'm saying? If the Bible says man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart, I mean, that's true, but like, why wouldn't you even want to have the heart of God and look at people and things and everything with the eyes of God? Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Including Jesus. Like, shouldn't you love him despite what he looks like? So
considering he loves everybody else.
Yeah. So that was a whole thing, but
wow, that's crazy. That's really crazy.
Yeah.
I kind of want to find that verse.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Let's find it.
Hidden in Egypt. Junior year, because I'm halfway done with the college experience, you asked me. Junior year was, I was still lonely, actually, but I was starting to find a little bit more of myself, like connecting with people who had similar ethnicities that I had, because I grew up in a pretty like white area, just coming from wealth.
Where did you grow up at?
Bloomfield Hills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's the second wealthiest city in Michigan, so it's just a whole different vibe. And then senior year, that was bad. I didn't like it.
Okay, so let's see here. Was it Matthew 2:15?
Oh, y'all, run the track back. I said 2:14. I was close.
You said 2:18. I'm pretty sure.
No, it's 14. Check
Was it 14?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it.
Okay, I was close.
Yeah. Okay. So in Matthew 2:15 and Hosea 11:1, I find the words "out of Egypt, I have called my son." Mary and Joseph were hiding from King Herod while fleeing Egypt. Imagine Europeans hiding in Africa.
That's what I'm saying. They would stick out.
Yeah.
I stuck out at my school. Like, they would notice me. Do you know what I'm saying? So
says this is a question containing many parts. So many, in fact, that it is hard to follow. It essence seems to inquire if Jesus was black. The interest in a black Jesus arises primarily from a black hermeneutic that has arisen in recent years. A number of minority how do you say that? Hermeneutics?
Can I see the...
Yeah. Let me highlight it. There.
Okay. Let's just say that.
Hermeneutics that pictures God as a woman. Whoa, wait, what?
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. A number of minority hermeneutics have arisen along with the political correctness movement, along the female hermeneutics that pictures God as a woman. The question contains some false assumptions and assertions, such as the suggestion that God might be black because man was made in his image. Man was made in God's image, in the sense that man has certain of the communicable attributions of God. Man was not made in the physical image of God because God has no fleshly blood. He is a spirit.
So my question is then, if somebody were to believe that, then who do they see Jesus as if God is not flesh?
Right. Is he like
You know what I'm saying?
Is he like a ghost?
So that's what Holy Ghost. So it's a Trinity.
Yeah. So whatever the appearance of Jesus was, he was a Jew. About the only thing that is certain about his appearance is that it was not that which we commonly associate with him based on Renaissance paintings. All of us descended from Noah, thus we are all related in flesh, regardless of color or nationality. Man's greatest problem since creation has been his desire to create God in his own image. Now some are seeking to recreate Christ in their own image. Yeah.
Everybody's doing that though, because I believe that God is a personal thing, and I think that's also why there's 33,000 plus or minus doctrines or Christian.
35.
Yeah.
35,000.
Now?
Oh
my gosh.
I didn't dive into it.
No, it's fine, but that's what you saw.
That's what I seen.
That's interesting. Yeah, but with the Renaissance paintings of Jesus, the one that's famous is painted by Leonardo da Vinci, and he painted Cesare Borgia, and he was Pope Alexander the Sixth's son, and Leonardo da Vinci and Cesare Borgia had a thing together.
Really?
Yep. So the
like
paintings,
they were lovers?
Yeah. You can look this up. So the paintings of Jesus that we see, the famous ones, are of him, Leonardo da Vinci's lover. Wow. Pope's son, by the way. Yeah.
You're just dropping bombs on this podcast.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to blow it up. I like this podcast. I did a lot of studying, David.
You did.
Senior year, I had to move out of the place that I was in because it just got really bad. People didn't want to be around me because I was questioning, and which reflects on their own insecurity, because when other people were questioning when I was an on-fire Christian, that didn't faze me.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So it's you're not really on solid rock ground if
Right.
you are wavering like this with fear,
That's one thing I realized too with growing up in church. Anytime you had a question like that, it's almost like they were offended that you had these type of questions. Well, you should know that. It's clearly not that. Like instead of having a discussion, let's have this harsh response to your question, and you're genuinely being curious. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that.
We were born. I believe that we were created curious, to be curious, to ask questions. When we're children. Yeah. We naturally look at the wonder of the world, and we're drawn to things that we don't know, to experiment and to experience, right?
And that creates innovation and
learning.
Learning, and you're artistic when you are curious about things. When you're so gung-ho on no, this is the way it should be, this is the way it is, you're not open-minded whatsoever.
That's corporate America in my view.
Look at what happened today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know. Things are. I believe that the miracles or the miraculous happens in the unknown. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even with, I don't know if I was going to take the conversation to this, but
go ahead, let's go.
I microdose psilocybin mushrooms for my mental health, and it has helped me heal religious trauma and spiritual trauma. I had years of it, and I started microdosing in 2020. I was doing it on and off. Now I do it consistently. Research shows that psilocybin mushrooms help rewire the brain.
It does.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, and generalized anxiety disorder. And I used to be crippled, debilitated. It was really bad. So for me to be able to be back to myself, as my mom says, she doesn't know that I'm doing mushrooms. I have a conversation with her soon. Hey, Mom, I love you. I know you support me doing natural things. So, yeah, there we go. but I brought that to say that mushrooms remind you of the unknown, because it breaks the structure or the box that you might have been in, and it helps you see the world in a completely different way. And so I'm really grateful that they're in my life.
So when you go to do mushrooms, do you do it when you're what are you doing? Are you at your house? Are you just sitting around? Are you focused on just going through that journey? What are you actively doing?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I'm connected with a very intentional group that has taught me how the ancients used to do mushrooms. And so I do it that way. So when I first started doing them, I would only do them. This sounds Like, what? Jubilee, what are you talking about? Do them in the dark, in my room. There's no lighting. It's at night. And yeah, so I fast that day. And then I take the mushrooms. This is for bigger doses, not for microdosing, for the bigger doses. And that's how I healed like years of trauma, even childhood trauma, because I don't have any distractions of anything, you know. But with microdosing, I take it right when I get up. You know, I brush my teeth, I meditate, I take them, and then throughout the day, like I'm very clear. And sometimes, honestly, my emotions like come up, things that have been suppressed. So I just kind of remove myself from this isn't for everybody, okay? But for me, like I work at home from home. So sometimes I go in my room and I cry and then I release that and then I work like nothing ever happened. But
well,
yeah,
that's important though, because I mean, that's what that emotion is for, right? Like crying, it relieves whatever is built up. Like it really does help.
Yeah.
Because you're fully like, I don't know how to describe it, but you're like,
yeah,
like it's an active, like your body's doing it in order to like help protect you and help you release that.
Yes, because I'm really good at holding on to things.
Yeah,
so
me too.
But I would feel them in my body, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Like I've been hospitalized before because my back and my body, like it was hard for me to walk because I had so much stored up. I don't want to say, it wasn't even just anger. It was like an array of emotions.
Was it like resentment?
Yes, but it was more. It was like all the trauma that I was going through spiritually in college that internalized into my body, and I wasn't free. I was basically in bondage. I just was not myself. So with mushrooms, like every single time I microdose, something comes up. I'm not crying all the time.
Right.
You know, it just depends on what I haven't dealt with, and it's just a really vulnerable and beautiful process because I'm doing this with myself, like allowing myself to cry again and healing my inner child and learning to reparent myself using the psilocybin medicine. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to a bunch of people talk about psilocybin, and I've always kind of wanted to try it.
Yeah.
But mainly because of all the trauma that I've gone through. Like, I feel like I've done a lot of work to heal the things that I've gone through, but it's always still there, obviously. But I feel like I'm at a point in my life where, like, some of that stuff doesn't really bother me. But I don't know if that's a good thing, you know? Right. Like, I don't know if it's a good thing that I've just, like, it's whatever.
Yeah, well,
you know?
We do live 90% of our lives unconsciously, like through the subconscious mind, like we're just going through the motions, you know? Yeah. And so those things might not be bothering you right now because they might be buried deep inside. And a lot of people aren't here on the planet to feel drawn to even go back and unpack. You know, it's not for everybody, but I know with where the level that I'm going in this lifetime as a leader, I need to be able to heal myself so I can hold space. Because I'm not here to save anybody. Look, I tried that. It's not the way. I'm here to hold space for people to do their own healing, but I need to really release and grow and evolve in the way that I feel called to do, you know, and the 90% of your brain that you're not using, you have access to them on mushrooms. That may seem very scary to people, but it's a very beautiful thing. Like, we are so powerful.
Do you think it's helped with your creativity?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I've always been a creative person, but I just allow things to flow now and without questioning myself, because mushrooms, they decrease the ego. So instead of me doubting myself, like, I don't know if this would be a good melody, like, let me just like not do this. Let me just buy a beat from someone, which is fine. But now I'm like, wait, I know I'm kind of like in a creative like phase where I'm just writing right now, but my writing, David,
it's on fire.
My writing is literally out of this world because it's authentically me, but it's the deeper part of me. And I just am really happy right now with life. So
what kind of things do you write about, and what inspires? Obviously, some of the things that you've gone through, I'm sure, inspire your writing. But like when you sit down to write, I mean, you can only write about like a certain situation so many times. So like what what inspires you to continually write new songs?
I write what I actually think and feel. And I think
In that moment.
Yep. Whatever's on my mind. And I write songs anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. Like, that's my average because I just let it flow. I don't think about like, oh, like, are people going to like, because I used to be like that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah,
like,
I understand.
I don't know if people are going to like if I say this, or what if I bring this up, or now I'm just like, this is what I feel. I know that I have personal experiences that I want to share. And I also have messages for the collective sometimes. So I write about my past experiences. Sometimes I kind of drop in little things where that I was raised Christian, but I'm also on another path. But it's not to the point where it's so offensive that like people would hate me. But it's in that middle ground of like, how Kanye is, or it's kind of like that. Like, I just say stuff intentionally to...
Are you a crazy tweeter?
No, I'm not a crazy tweeter. I don't even have Twitter. No. But I write about anything. Like, I just wrote something the other night, actually, if you want to hear it.
Yes, okay. I want to hear it.
Okay, how do you play the song? Do I just hold it up to the mic, maybe?
We can do that, or we can Bluetooth it to this device, and it'll play it into our headphones.
Let's do it. I'll do the first verse.
Okay.
Yep. David's MacBook Pro?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. It's a Rodecaster Pro.
Okay.
Did you find it?
I just see David's MacBook Pro. I'm going to turn my Bluetooth off and then turn it back on.
Okay. Yeah, I had to disconnect the computer.
Okay. Excuse me. Do you see it? Here, do you want my phone?
Come on. Can you airdrop it?
Yeah. To your MacBook?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's try that and see if that works.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Look for it now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
There it is.
Sorry, everybody.
Boo. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Sorry, I grew up in a family like we would boo each other, but it was like a funny thing. But, these people these days are too... I'm sensitive too, but it's a different kind of sensitivity.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay,
Let's play it. Let's play it.
This is called Heaven Sent. Shout out to Josh Hype. He made this beat, not me.
Is it playing?
No. Where is it? I don't hear anything. Do you hear it?
No, I don't. Huh. Is it playing on your phone?
No. Did you receive it on your MacBook?
Oh, you sent it to the MacBook?
On the road? No. Can I airdrop it to that device?
No. So it was discoverable by Bluetooth, so you should be able to find it.
Oh, me? I have to press play.
Yeah.
I'm technologically challenged. Okay.
That's hilarious.
Here we go. Heaven Sent. I named it Heaven Sent.
There we go.
My vibe up like a rocket ship. My mama said I'm heaven sent. My daddy's better than he's ever been. Everything else irrelevant. What if God got a womb in melanin? I've been done with this government. Praise divinity, struggle made me so hellbent. Now I fly like a pelican. It's been a journey though. Reminiscing when I played the 6-4. Still yet acquainted with right and wrong. Still trying to find where I belong. Starseed, donor child. All my dreams manifesting now. He couldn't tame me. I'm too wild. I'm too loud. I'm too proud. Yeah. Okay, that's all you're gonna get.
Oh. Oh, that was dope.
Thank
that was
you.
super dope.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow.
I talk about a lot of stuff.
You're the first person to ever do that on the
Hey,
podcast.
woo!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. That is super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you sit down and write something like that, what's going through your brain? What's going through your mind?
A lot. So my brain moves really, really fast, which I think is the benefit of so-called
Writing.
anxiety.
Okay.
You know, like it just goes. So for me, my writing process just looks like me listening to the music, and because I know music, you know, I feel it. I can kind of like hear the rhythm the cadence that I want to like rap with, but I just start writing. Like I hear something and I just write it in my notebook or I type it in my phone, and then I start the song over and I rehearse what I have and I keep adding it every single time I hear something. But I perform it like off rip. Like as soon as I have words, I'm in performance mode.
That's so crazy because I work with Sway Boy. Do you know who Sway Boy is?
I've heard of him.
So he's a rapper too, and he does a lot of like positivity type rap. You guys should link up.
Yeah, I do stuff too. Like
He's
that.
actually going to be at this event. He's on there.
Oh, bet.
Yeah, take one of those.
Thank you.
The person hosting that is called the nonprofit is called L Town Jubilee.
Oh, whoa.
Right?
This is meant to be. Oh, my gosh. My name is on a flyer with him. This is magic. Thank you for connecting us.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to hook you up with Erica because do you like to perform?
Are you kidding me? I'm made to do that. Like, for real. I love it so much.
I'm gonna hook you up with her because she does this event. It's called When September Ends, and it's at the end of September, obviously. But what she does is her organization works with people who are homeless, and when September ends is they celebrate a family that was recently homeless, and they celebrate them like for being able to find housing and being able to make it. And so it's just like this whole event where they have performers and live events, and they have like tents with like vendors and all kinds of stuff. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I went last year. I had a tent and everything, promoted the podcast, and this year I think I'm going to do live interviews. Somehow I'm going to figure that out, but
it'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. But I definitely think I should hook you up with her because I like that. That was
Thank
awesome.
you. I have a lot of unreleased music, David, that's coming, and it's all like deep and positive and uplifting, honestly. So I'm really excited.
That's super cool. That is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what type of things do you typically rap about?
Consciousness.
I
mean, elevating consciousness for real. In my story, sometimes I talk about like certain situations that I've gone through with different people or me growing up, feeling alone, like really feeling lonely in the way that I see the world. I mean, everybody, like boo-hoo, everybody has a different perception of life, but I literally felt like I did not belong anywhere. And that was very heartbreaking to me. Like, that was my first heartbreak of feeling like I didn't belong anywhere. You know, I was too white for the black people, but too black for the white people. And then on top of that, you know, I'm a person of color who has wealth. So now there are certain people who can't connect with me with the things that I was raised doing, you know?
Right.
And I just always felt like I was on the outskirts, but also observing everything in the middle of it, you know? So I talk about just the emotions that I have processing trauma even and things that I learn, and unity. I talk a lot about unity, like people coming together. And that's something else I've experienced on mushrooms where I had an ego death on my 5 grams, the hero's dose. And
you sound like Mike Tyson.
Oh, I need to check him out. I know he was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Was he? Okay, yeah. I need to look at that.
He has his own podcast too.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's called Hot Box with Mike Tyson.
I would hotbox with Mike, you know?
You would box with him?
Oh, hotbox?
You would hotbox.
Isn't it, you know what I'm talking about? Like hotboxing?
Yeah, hotboxing.
Okay, yeah. Like, I would do that with Mike Tyson. If you hear this, you know, come through, or I'll come through. But yeah, I had a hero's dose, and that 5 grams, whoo, my ego was just like, gone. And I know that that's a very scary experience to think about because your ego is how you self-identify with your world. But for me, it was very beautiful because it's like I am the person that I am inside. Like my soul is bigger than my body because my soul is one with not only the source of all things, but everybody. So it changed my view of how I see people. And I kind of see everybody living a different human experience, but we're all one. Like we're actually connected. There's research in Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural. He talks about it later in the book. I don't want to spoil it, but he does mention like the power of group meditation and how when people put their minds together and they're one and connected, people's environment changed so much that the crime rate dropped because people were just there together. And I just think about just how we're all connected and how we affect one another every single day. So
I mean, isn't that that's kind of the concept of like motivational speakers, right? And then also like you grew up in a religious environment, so like having like revival meetings or like revival services, like you have this fire breathing preacher up there like trying to get everybody to like get their lives straightened out, and everybody's kind of in unison in that moment,
and it's powerful. I think that's why religious settings can be powerful, but when you take away kind of like the doctrine of it, you still see the power of it. Like for instance, concerts. You know how much like energy is being generated by people being like-minded, like in the same space with the same intention.
You get sucked in.
Yeah, and like in scripture, Jesus says, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, like I'll be there." And I think about that in general, like when there's more than one person on the same page, the same wavelength, like things happen, whether they're in his name or not, though. So I know it's controversial to say, but I've seen it happen. So
I love controversial things.
Oh, you're gonna love my music. I am pretty controversial. I talk about the government. I talk about the system.
So we were before the music. You had mentioned softness. People are soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
In what ways? This is controversial.
This generation, I really like it sometimes, but there are other times where I kind of get irritated because it's like this generation wants to stand up for everything but gets hurt and it gets offended by everything as well. So it's like if someone is because there's spectrums for everything now.
Yeah,
not that it's now, but like there's spectrums, and say if somebody's on one end of the spectrum and then someone else on the other end of the spectrum, they won't see eye to eye, but at the same time they'll get so easily offended by someone who's not agreeing with them.
Yeah.
And I think that society tries to box us into these different stratifications of like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. It's all black and white. And these are the same people who are saying that it's a spectrum, but they're still saying it's black and white.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with our political environment, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's the first thing you can look at and say that those are two different classes. You have Democrats and you have Republicans, and you're either on this team or you're on this team. And if you're not on this team, then you're this. And if you're on this team, then you're that.
Then you're the devil if you're not on my team. Right,
exactly.
That's how it is.
And if you believe differently than me, then I can't be your friend. We can't have this discussion. It's like, what? That's
shallow to me,
It's
personally.
extremely shallow.
I was raised conservatively.
Me too.
Yep. I was raised conservatively, and a lot of my views, not a lot of them, I should say, like, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle for a lot of things right now, and that's fine. But at the same time, like, I was raised conservatively.
Right.
Like, my parents were Republican.
I mean, it's kind of just a natural inclination for, like, religious people.
Right.
They're typically more, like, conservative than anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
I studied political science. That's one of my degrees, and so that is a fact with what you're saying.
Yeah, it is.
And so when I got to college and, I started to hang out with other people, I heard their views, and I was someone to, like, actually listen with where they're coming from. I wanted to know, like, are they believing that because of a trend, and they want to fit in with however the parties are picturing or shaping their followers, their devotees, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
constituents.
Right, yeah. And or is it something that they actually believe? Is it something that they actually researched? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm logical.
Well, there's definitely people that hop on a trend because they want like just the social media cred.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a situation that just happened recently, and I wanted to talk about it, but I don't want to put my friend on blast. So
okay. Do you want to use a different name, or is that still
I
gives it away?
I wouldn't say a name, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I'll tell you. I'll tell you off the podcast.
Yeah. That's fine. I respect it.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah.
I respect her, so I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Good
But
for you.
but the thing is like people when there's like something social going on, like a social issue, like whether it's racism or it's
Something overseas.
something
even.
overseas like Ukraine, or it's transgender, like, or
The
it's
sexuality,
sexuality, Second Amendment, whatever it is, right,
Anything.
left, whatever it is.
Cannabis, even like
Cannabis.
Yep.
People jump on a bandwagon and they ride it because they just want to let everybody know, like, hey, I'm on the right side of history. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for most people, they don't really care.
No.
They just want to be in the middle.
Like if you care, that's cool. Like I'm not gonna even judge anybody for that.
I think it's good to care about things, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's say like you are passionate about transgender people,
Sure.
or you are passionate about racism, or you're passionate about all these different things that are considered controversial. That's good. But what are you doing? Like, are you just saying things on social media, or are you involved in organizations that are helping fight against that stuff? Like, I'm all for whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But don't just do it on social
just
media.
to do it.
Don't do it to just look good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
bothers
totally
me.
agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it bothers me.
Me too. I'm not someone to hop on the bandwagon. I do what I feel and research together.
Yeah.
Because emotions can sometimes be deceiving. And I think a lot of politics have really been focused on like emotions. And I think that's what has really divided this nation into different groups like never before, because it's very emotion based. And I don't know. I'm just a big advocate for like people doing their own research and thinking for themselves, because groupthink, in my opinion, is very dangerous because individual thinking in psychology, like it's turned off. You just go with whatever. So,
well, I mean, if you go all the way back to Nazi Germany, I mean, that was groupthink.
Yes.
That was a bunch of people thinking alike, and then look what happened.
Yep. Not a good ending. You know?
No, not a good ending at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. Today's society, like I talk about it all day at work, every day with like my coworkers.
Talk about this.
I have a team of young guys. They're all like my age, they're all like my age. And so we talk about, and a couple of them I went to school with. So it's
cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Where'd you go to school? I'm sorry.
Charlotte.
Okay, I don't know where that is.
It's like 20 minutes south of here. It's like a little hick town. But yeah, no. So, it's interesting to get like their perspective, because we're all around the same age and we all kind of think alike, which is interesting because like you always hear about these people, especially like celebrities, talking about, well, these millennials this and these millennials that. And it's like, I'm a millennial, but I don't necessarily think like I don't agree with a lot of the things that like society's portraying us to be putting out there, I guess. I don't know.
How does that make you feel?
What, as a millennial and they're accusing us of
Yeah,
that?
they're just like boxing you in like that.
I think it's important to talk about it, like with this podcast, and that's why I have a problem with cancel culture. Like being a millennial, like a lot of millennials want to cancel people, and I'm not cool with that. So I think it's important to be able to say what you want. Like you should be able to rap about whatever you want. Yep. You should be able to say whatever you want. I should be able to talk about whatever I want as long as I'm not hurting anybody.
Right.
Like if I'm on here talking crap about transgender people,
then
or
it's gonna be coming for you anyway. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and that's one thing I realized too. Like not everybody's going to agree with you.
No.
And you can't make everybody happy.
Exactly.
And if you are saying something that's going to offend somebody, it might. I don't know. Like you can't make everybody happy.
Honestly, David, I feel like at this point in time, especially with the internet, just go like in with all the algorithms and stuff. just stick to what you like.
Yeah. Why does it matter?
It does. Like for me, I'm kind of, on this journey of like expanding my consciousness. So I do listen to things that irritate me sometimes.
It's good
because I want to understand a little bit,
Yeah.
But for someone who's not who doesn't have that capacity to even talk to someone who has a different view than they have, then just stick to what you like and I'm not saying be close-minded, but just kind of be in your lane. You know what I'm saying? I feel like these days people go out of their way to find something to get mad about so they can talk about their own views, you know? So
I had a conversation with a coworker the other day, and it was a political-based conversation based on some of the amendments. And he believed a certain way, and I believed an opposite way. But we were able, and we're friends. Like him and I like hang out outside of work, and we were able to just have this conversation, even though we don't agree. They're complete opposite opinions and ideas. But we both respected each other's opinions, and we were able to discuss it. I was able to understand like his where he's coming from and why he believes the way he believes. And then I respected that. I'm like, if anything, I respect you because like that's a pretty bold thing to do. So
absolutely. I don't think we're made to think the same.
No.
Like we might have similar, things that we go through or whatever, but even if I have twins in my family and twins DNA different. So I think about just how we are literally here to be unique. And my problem with mainstream society is that they try to box and suppress individualism. And I'm a life path 1. I don't know if you know anything about astrology or numerology, but basically someone who has a life path number 1, which you find out by adding the digits of your birthday together, your month, your day, and the year you were born. You add those up and you reduce it to a number, because the numbers go from 1 to 9, because when it's 10, it's a 1 because the 0 doesn't count. Does that make sense? So it like starts over?
Okay. So 9 is the last number.
Yeah, so when you add my birthday up, 12/09/1996, you get 10, and then you like reduce that to 1.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a life path 1, and we're all about like individualism. We are about leadership. We're the hermit of society. Like we go into the secret place, like, kind of in our own space, and we just learn and we process, and then we come out to the world to lead stuff. So
you add them together.
Yes.
So
I'm going to do yours right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 09/02/1993.
Okay, 09/02/1993. So 9 and 2 is 11. Okay, but 1 plus 1 is 2.
Yep.
So just keep that. And then 1993, you have 10, then 9, 3 is 12, 22, 2 plus 2 is 4. Your life path 6, if I'm not mistaken.
What does that mean?
I just choked on my spit. Such a human thing. Excuse me. A 6. I don't know too much about a lot, like in depth of the 6, but the 6, it deals with like the home life. So very family oriented, domesticity. So yeah, and it's also like a really like, it's supposed to be like a lucky number, and yeah, I should have known that, but I think you should look it up.
I will definitely look that up.
Yeah,
I'll look it up off the podcast.
I just want to make sure I added this right, though. I don't want to give you misinformation or anything. Okay. Yep, 6. Awesome.
Interesting.
Yes.
I will research that later.
Absolutely. Can I ask you what your astrological sign is?
Oh boy, I'm a Virgo.
Virgo. Yeah. My dad's a Virgo.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't get involved in that stuff.
You don't have to.
I've never really I guess I don't want to say understand. I've never looked into it. I've never really like researched it or anything, because growing up religiously, like it's kind of like a woo-woo type thing.
Religion is woo-woo sometimes too, though.
It is.
So it's just, it just depends. But cool.
Yeah. So we're over an hour into this.
Yeah, I figured, because you were like checking your stuff. So I'm like, how do we close this out?
I wasn't checking my stuff. What was I doing? I was writing. I was writing something down.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. Yeah.
So,
Is there anything else you want to talk about or bring up on the podcast? I feel like we could talk forever.
No, we could.
I really
I lost
do.
track of time.
So you're about to drop new songs, right?
Yes.
When are you dropping them?
Good question. I'm in a little pickle. Well, I want your opinion though on this, okay?
Okay.
So I have a project called Sonder. You know what Sonder means?
No, but it sounds familiar.
Okay. I had to look this up, so it's a new word that I learned. But Sonder is the idea that everybody's life is just as equally as complex as yours.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
That makes really good sense.
Yeah, I love that word. And so with the project Sonder, I have like 6 different tracks for now. And I mixed and mastered it, right? I mixed and mastered the whole project. But I just met somebody who works at a music company and with a label. And they want to like, the engineer, he's so awesome. He wants to mix and master my project. Wow. Yeah. He listened to the whole thing. He's like, please let me like mix and master it. And I was like, whoa, okay. Maybe this is me letting go, you know? Nevertheless, he has so much on his plate that I feel like now it's kind of like delaying the release, you know? So
yeah,
I wanted to ask your opinion. I'm still going to do what I want to do. I'm an ask hole, which means like I ask questions and I still end up doing whatever the heck I want to do. So just let you know, if you were in my situation, do you feel like you would want to release the project that you spent months mixing and mastering and they're done? Or would you want to wait on some time because the quality might be better? Because I've only been mixing and mastering for like a year and a half or 2. It's good. It's not booty, but it's like it could be better because I'm a baby at it, you know?
Yeah.
What would you do?
Well, like anything, like we talked in the beginning, you only get better when you keep doing things. And you can appreciate things a little bit more when you work harder at it. So it might push you to even want to like work even harder. And I know that you're kind of that type of person. I'm kind of the same way. Like,
yeah.
And the thing is, like, I'm a person who doesn't like to wait on somebody. So if it were me and I have this project that I want to do, I would just do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could always still go like, let's say you're in the middle of mixing this and producing this. Is it a track? They call it a track or is it album?
Or the project?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an EP, so it's like extended play. It's
okay.
Shorter than an album, but longer than a single.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could work on producing yourself, and then if he gets a hold of you in the meantime, maybe check that out too.
Like it's produced, it's written, it's mastered, like it's done. It's just like
the
quality could be better, but it's not bad. It's not horrible.
What about the quality could be better? Like this, he just has better equipment.
He has more experience than I do, so like he knows. I do things intuitively. Like I feel like he knows more than I do, but at the same time, I like create really quickly. Like I write very quickly. My friend Chris Powers, shout out to Chris Powers. He came over yesterday and we wrote a whole song together in under an hour. Yeah, and we're about to record it and I'm like, wait, maybe we should like come back Tuesday and just record it. But because I create so quickly, I feel kind of delayed and behind when I'm waiting on other people.
Yeah.
And I'm very independent. You know what I'm saying?
Don't wait on other people.
Don't wait on. That's what I'm saying.
Don't wait on other people.
Okay, but I appreciate the engineer like so much. His name is Merv, and he is absolutely stellar, like amazing. But he also is doing his own music too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I like to think about like Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
He videoed everything before everybody, like before video was really a thing.
Yeah.
And didn't he produce like most of his stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm like that. I produce and I write and stuff.
You should just do that.
Yeah. I relate to Kanye. Shout out to also I want to shout something out. I just dropped a song called Kanye Midwest. And it just got released, so it's on all the streaming platforms. So
I think I just heard
check
that.
it out.
Yeah, I just heard that.
It's really fun. But yeah, the guy Merv also known as Harlow, he mixed and mastered that one, and it sounds amazing. So, you know, I think I'm just gonna follow your advice, which is also my intuition, and to just go and release it. And for the next project, he can help me with it if he wants to.
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah, that's one thing. Like with the podcast, I've learned to not wait on other people, because like when I starting this podcast, like there's been several people that, you know, like, I can help you, and I'm like, but it's on their time, it's on their watch, and then I almost feel like at a certain point they feel like there's something that's owed to them, and they want the credit, and they want, like, it's like, no, this is something I worked on. Like I got the podcast to where it is. Like you did not do anything.
Right.
You might have given me some advice, but like, this is not you.
Yep. So, I feel that.
And then
strongly.
And then sometimes people come in and they want to ride off of your success too.
And control it, or control it too.
Right. And
change
so
it.
that's something you gotta be careful of too. Unfortunately, that's something you have to be careful of.
Yeah.
Especially being a creative person, people want to take advantage of that stuff. But
people project their own ideas and feelings and opinions onto other people, and you know, we all do it, but I'm now more aware of it when I'm doing it, but also when people are doing it to me. And I've learned to set boundaries, even as an empath. Like, you know, like not being a people pleaser all the time. Like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it, but inside I'm like, no, let's do this thing, you know?
And that's my problem too. Like I just want to make people happy, and
that's the thing.
I want to be able to help people. Like if somebody wants to do a podcast or host like be a co-host on the podcast, I'm like, yeah, like that sounds like fun. But then you think about it and you're like, no, I don't think so.
Yes, I'm like that when people like try to collab with me. So look, y'all have not even seen anything yet, okay? Like, I'm finally confident in my abilities because it took me a long time to be here, so I'm not even trying to be cocky. Like, I have something that I feel like I can grow, you know, in, and I have so much more growth to do. But I want to say, like, there are certain people that want to collab with me already, which I'm really grateful for and open to, but, like, I can't collab with everybody because sometimes we're not on the same frequency. And it doesn't mean that the person or myself is better or worse than one another. It's just like, it's not a vibrational match. And sometimes I feel pressured to be like, oh yeah, like you're a Detroit artist and I'm here too. Like, let's just do it. But I'm very intentional with everything that I do. And that includes who I'm speaking to and who I want to create with. And it's not even a stuck up mean thing. I just can't.
No, it's not.
You know?
Boundaries. No, it's definitely not. And people take it that way, but it's not.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to make a difference in the world.
Yes, I see that you're doing that. I just met you, and I can already tell, like, you're passionate about this podcast, and it obviously looks like you put the time and the energy into it. And for me to just even be on this show, like, I am very, very grateful, and I feel free.
Awesome.
You know?
Awesome. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. This has been fun. This is a blast. Would you do it again?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
Yes,
awesome.
Thank you so much. Seriously. And thank you, Sema, for connecting us, too.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, she's dope.
She is. I'm about to see her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.